What if I told you that in the year 2025, the Chiefs might ignore protecting Mahomes to go all in on a brand new first-round running back? Sounds crazy, right? But believe it or not, analysts are seriously considering that possibility, and the name everyone's buzzing about is Omarion Hampton, a physical freak who could completely reshape the Chiefs' ground game. And hold on, there's more. On the other side of the ball, the Chiefs might be on the verge of forming one of the scariest defensive line duos in the league alongside Chris Jones. Things are heating up in Missouri, and you don't want to miss a single detail of these moves that could completely change the direction of next season. Smash that like button and let's get into it. Here's the deal. The Chiefs are facing that classic draft crossroads: reinforce Mahomes' protection or add even more firepower to the offense. Kansas City's offensive line is far from reliable, and even with the addition of Jalen Moore, nobody's betting the NFL's most valuable quarterback will be sleeping soundly in the pocket come 2025. That's why a lot of people are convinced the team will target an offensive tackle in the first round. Names like Josh Connerly Jr. and Josh Simmons are already on the radar of the reigning AFC champions, but as always in the NFL, the draft loves to throw a curveball, and Vinny Liar from the Sporting News has just that up his sleeve. In his latest mock draft, Liar plays a different card: North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton. That's right. Instead of investing in protection, he believes the Chiefs might supercharge their backfield with a true game changer. Liar points out that the Chiefs haven't taken a first-round RB since Clyde Edwards-Helaire 5 years ago, but Hampton is a different breed. He's strong, physical, and brings that punishing style that wears defenses down, a guy who can carry the load for all 3 downs and keep the pressure on. Considering Pacheco has been battling injuries and Kareem Hunt isn't the same explosive weapon he once was, Hampton could breathe new life into a run game that ranked 26th in the league last year, averaging just 101 yards per game. Sure, nobody's ignoring the glaring hole on the offensive line, but if Hampton is still on the board when the Chiefs are on the clock, it's going to be hard to pass up on a talent like that, because sometimes the best way to protect your quarterback is to keep the ball out of the opponent's hands, and Hampton might be just the guy to do it. Now tell me, do you think the Chiefs should really take a chance on Hampton and leave the O-line for later? Drop a comment below on what you'd do if you were in Andy Reid's shoes. And hey, if this first piece of news already surprised you, wait till you see who could be the next defensive wall on this team. The second one's even more intriguing. With the 2025 NFL Draft coming in fast, the Chiefs are in that final adjustment phase, evaluating who can fill the gaps left open after free agency. And even though they've nailed it in recent years by bringing in players who fit like a glove into Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo's system, there's still room for more talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Last year, the Chiefs' defense was nasty, but it had a pattern. To get to the quarterback, they had to blitz a lot, blitz after blitz. Now the goal is to change the game. They want to collapse the pocket with just their front 4, and for that, they'll need more raw power on the D-line. Of course, Chris Jones is still a beast, arguably the best defensive tackle in the league, but imagine pairing him with a young brute, the kind of guy who causes chaos right out of the gate. That's when the Chiefs' defense becomes a full-on nightmare, so it wouldn't be surprising if they went after another lineman, whether it's an edge rusher or an interior presence. Enter Derek Harmon out of Oregon. According to analyst Lance Zierlein, this guy is basically a wall with arms, big, long, powerful, and with the kind of presence that shuts down the run up the middle. He's not gonna rack up sacks like a Myles Garrett type, but he's the guy who disrupts an offense before the play even unfolds. Harmon can line up in multiple spots, whether it's odd or even fronts, and brings a physical style that resembles a young Cam Hayward, only bigger. That gives you a pretty clear idea of the kind of impact he could make from his very first snap. If the Chiefs want a front 4 that strikes fear without relying on the blitz every snap, Harmon is a name to keep an eye on, because lining this guy up next to Chris Jones, man, that's nightmare fuel for any AFC quarterback. Now, if the Chiefs really do go after someone like Hampton in the first round, they'd be leaving a massive hole in Mahomes' protection, and that could come back to bite them. But if he turns out to be the bulldozer people are saying he is, the strategy just might work. On defense, bringing in a guy like Derek Harmon to pair with Chris Jones, I absolutely love that idea. That's how you build a defensive line that commands respect without having to blitz on every snap. But at the end of the day, the draft is always a game of chess, and the margin for error is razor thin. So Chiefs fans, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update on your team's road to next season.